So as an American living here in Europe, I often get asked a lot of a question regarding Americans. So me being me, I thought it'd be a great idea to attempt to answer these questions the best I can. I mean, how hard could it be? And a quick disclaimer, I do have to state that this is pretty much just from my perspective. It may not be right, but it could be right. Yes, I am American, but that don't mean I know everything. I'ma just super say it. Another thing to note too is that I can't hit on everything because there's a lot of questions that I've been hearing about multiple times, but there are better ones too as well. So I can't hit on everything like, why do Americans always need ice? Why do Americans keep wild animals for pets? Honestly, I don't even know the answer to that one. And listen, all jokes aside, real talk, I met a dude in Georgia at a Kroger who had an alligator in his aquarium basement. Like, what? You got people who own possums, raccoons, squirrels, freaking foxes. I mean, even freaking Ross and Friends own an illegal monkey. I don't know what it is with Americans and owning wild animals. I don't know. So yeah, I can't really answer that one. I think I'm gonna just focus on the few that got me thinking like, that's interesting. But again, we will not be answering all these questions in one video. We'll say, maybe we'll do a part 2 in the future. Side note though, look how freaking nice it turned out to be. Man, I left the house this morning and it was so cold I had to wear gloves. But wow, look how gorgeous this is. Holy cow. But anyway, with all that said, let's get into the first question. And that was, why do Americans not like to identify themselves as American? To be honest, this is actually a really good question, and it's funny. I've gotten this question so many times. And if you don't know what people mean by this, let me just put it like this. Basically, if you go to America, right? Actually, a coworker of mine just was in America, and he was there in America, met a bunch of Americans, and a lot of Americans that he met, he noticed that they didn't identify themselves as American, even though they are clearly American like me. They were born, raised, never left the country. Bottom line, they are American. Like legit, no matter how you slice it and dice it, they're still American. But they'll introduce themselves as Irish or British or just everything but American. Matter of fact, I actually experienced this myself. I met people, like when I was in Detroit, I met a few people downtown, and no joke, this guy said, once he realized that I didn't live there and I said I lived in the Netherlands, what he said was, oh, I'm actually Dutch. So then I would chop it up with them about certain things and experiences and all this other stuff and ask him questions. This dude could not find the Netherlands on a map. Like, that's how bad it was. Like, he don't know anything about the Netherlands. He's never been here. He don't speak the language. Nothing. But, oh, I'm Dutch. Like, dude, what are you talking about? You're American. Like, dude. And then comes to find out later in the conversation, he's like, well, I'm really like 30% blah, 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 and then 2% Dutch and blah, 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 blah. And my granddad on my granddad's side of the granddad. Like, you know what I mean? And this is very, very common in America. I'm not quite sure why, but I think people just want to feel special. I'ma just go ahead and super say it. And then the other reason would have to be convenience. Because believe it or not, sometimes it's good to be American. And then sometimes it's good to be like, you know what? Nah, I'm not American today. And now listen, there is no shade to anybody that's like legit not from America, but they've been living there for a while. This is no shade to them. Because see, we're mostly talking about people who were born, raised, and like their whole thing is America. Like they are full on American. But then we'll stretch the truth a little bit based off of their granddad on their third cousin side to say that they're German. And quick side note, man, we gotta back up a bit because look how freaking nice that is, man. I almost hit that lady with the camera. I did like this and she was coming right. And now the next one is a good one. I mean, like a really good one. But the next question that I got asked a lot, and I'm talking in person as well as on the internet, and that is, why do Americans go against their own best interests? And now, man, this is hands down one of the best questions that people have asked me just over the years of living in the Netherlands. And I chalk it up, like, look, I'm gonna go ahead and say, I think that, honest to God, Americans are amazing. The people, when you go over there, you will find a lot of great people. And people there do genuinely care about each other. But even with all of that said, I think the problem is when it comes to thinking about everyone as a whole and what could be best for everyone, there is something that they care about just like a little bit, well, maybe that much more, like maybe actually, that much more. And I think the best way to explain this is to use myself as an example. I worked extremely hard to get where I am now. I grew up poor, and I'll be honest, it was tough, man. But again, throughout it all, I worked extremely hard to make it. Like, I got to where I want to go. I ain't no millionaire or nothing like that, but I made it. Now, when I say it took a lot of hard work to get where I am, I mean, I worked multiple jobs. I worked throughout high school, college, and I didn't stop. I kept going. I moved to LA, got a career in television, worked crazy, stupid amount of hours, and then quit my good job, picked up my whole family, and left America to move to the Netherlands. And I am continuing to do well for myself and work hard. Matter of fact, let's just say I have student loans. Now, this part is not true, but let's just say something like student loans. I took out a bunch of student loans, right? And let's just say I happened to pay them off, only to turn on the news and find out that they're trying to forgive student loans. Pimping. Like, what the? And for me being American, this is a huge problem because I just worked so hard to go to school and pay this stuff back. And then for them to just up and be like, you know what, we might forgive some student loans. We might pay it back for them. Because people are struggling, we might pay it back. And look, me being this person that's worked so hard for everything I got, having multiple jobs through my life, went to school, paid it off. Why should these people get a handout? Why can't they work multiple jobs like I did? And then I'm over here looking at the news, getting fired up because they talk about the same kind of stuff. Like, no, handouts. Like, why are people getting handouts? There's other people, my cousin and all this other stuff, they had to pay for student loans. No handouts. Why the government trying to give out handouts? And if you paid attention what just happened is I completely missed the point of the problem. And not only did I turn the situation into an us versus them, but I also made it about myself. And then I would say also too, what made it all worse was that I got fired up because of what I was watching and what I was consuming. And this is why most Americans go against what's best for them and the collective, like, Americans as a whole. Because look, to be real, the problem isn't that the government wants to help other people and help other Americans get out of this massive amount of debt. The problem is, why on earth is education that expensive? And I love pimping, this is not a political channel by any means, but I will say, if we stop for a second and just think, just that whole situation I just gave, right? If we stop for a second and think about people other than ourselves, people who can't work, or our kids and our kids' kids, the way we would look at things will be completely different. But that whole setup, that whole scenario that I just gave happens every day to people. Why on earth would I want everybody to go through what I went through? Like, come on. When the fact should be that I should want it better for the people after me. Like, I'm paving the way for other people behind me. I'm not lifting the ladder up so that no one climbed out. I'm actually pushing the ladder back down so that other people can climb up. I mean, at least that's how I see it. But since we are so detached and so isolated and focused on individualistic on how we could one-up each other, we're missing the big picture, which is we can just help each other. We need to be there for each other. Like, pimpin', we could make something great a lot faster together. And you know what's even crazier is that most Americans agree. Data has shown that we all kind of want the same thing, but as soon as they make it political and the media gets involved, that's when it changes. And now the last thing that I'm gonna have to hit on, because I get asked this a lot too as well, and that would have to be, why do Americans always have things to go? Like, Why are we always on the go? I mean, legit, we live in our cars, we have drive-through everything, drive-through ATMs, drive-through coffee lines, everything. We got drive-through for everything. And you know what? I think I really understand this question in a sense of America's one of the few places that has like convenience is at the top of the list. Like it's a huge priority to have everything at your fingertips when you can. Like basically get anything at any time, which is why you have 24-hour grocery stores, which is also why you have 24-hour like drugstores. We also have 24-hour fast food places. And most businesses are open 7 days a week. Minus, I would say maybe Chick-fil-A. I think that dude just said, hey. But my point is, you would think that since we have so much convenience for everything, why are we always in a rush for everything? Why are we always in a rush? And we ain't got no time for ourselves. And to be honest though, I think that's the thing. That's the catch. All of this stuff comes with a price. And that price is Americans don't have time for themselves. And they're not really given the time to have for themselves. I mean, literally, the culture is hustle and grind, which if controlled can be a good thing, but the way it is now, in my opinion, that's not the way to live. But this is a big reason why we do to-go a lot, because we don't have the time. So go ahead, pick up a coffee, we gotta get it to go. We ain't got time to sit outside, we ain't got time to sit down. We get it to go. I mean, you know what? Matter of fact, a really good example of this was when my mom was here. I saw the comments. I read a lot of comments, and the comments were basically saying, oh, I hope your mom have a great time. Yeah, take her here, take her here, take her there. And I was like, yo, like, my mom ain't got that much time here. My mom legit only had a few days here as well as a few days in Italy. I mean, obviously you have the travel time, but it's not like over here where you can get a month off. I got 30 days right off the bat. And at my point of it all, my mom is a perfect example of this. Do you know how long it would how long it would take for you to save 30 days off? 30 days? Oh, snap, look at that. They put a bench right here. This bench is fairly new. Dang, when did they do this? I mean, my mom works full time. She gets benefits and everything. And it would take her forever to save 30 days. That's all I'm trying to say. So when she came, she was only here for a few days, as well as in Italy for a few days. And matter of fact, that's just the way it is. Your time is limited. And we've gotten so accustomed to it that we think that that's normal. I mean, matter of fact, I had a coworker ask me the other day, like, why do our American colleagues schedule meetings during lunch? That was a whole conversation. And I'm gonna be honest, that conversation ended with my colleague that works here telling the American colleagues back in the States, like, we're not doing meetings at this time. That's what he said. I mean, I'm not in his group, but that's what he said about his group. He put his foot down. It's like, no, my group and my team are not taking any meetings at lunchtime. Your team can, but we don't roll like that. Here, it's almost an unwritten rule that if it's nice outside, you can take your time. Matter of fact, when the summer hit, pimping, you turned up. Like, you going to get the boat, you drinking some wine, you are chilling. Like, I'm not even joking. Y'all think I'm joking? I'm not. No one's lazy, and people love to genuinely work here, just like people love to work in the States. But in the States, there's this thing where people see you as lazy if you not staying late or not putting in extra hours or not going in 2 hours early. People think that you're lazy, and they think that if you get something or if the government is gonna assist you with something, you're not gonna wanna work, which I just don't agree. I mean, data shows that people enjoy doing work. I'm just super saying. And I do have to say though, it is also an unwritten rule that when we are off of work here, we off. Don't be trying to pull up, making phone calls, or sending emails. Nah, pimp, we done. So you guys want to know something funny? Every day, everyone comes and parks right here. And then I would say every other month, there will be people who will come and ticket these bikes and tow all these bikes. And yet, people still come back and park there.